Okay, there we go. So, what's up, Noah? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, thank you. So, if you could just give me a little bit about who you are, your background, how you got into this position, and like your job duties and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Noah Blanton. I am a science teacher at North Brunswick High School in Leland, North Carolina. I've been teaching for 3 years, going on four. And out of my 4 years of teaching, I've been coaching wrestling for 3 years. So pretty much since I started teaching.
Hmm.
In addition to coaching wrestling, I've also been a surf coach and lead surf instructor for about 6 years.
That's sick.
So when I was in college, I essentially paid my rent through teaching surf lessons during the summer, during the fall, and winter months. So it's been something that I've been passionate about for a long time, not just surf instruction, but coaching in general.
Hmm.
Um, Wrestling, whole nother ball game. It's way more involved than private surf instruction. That's a bit more like tourism and recreation. I don't really get to spend entire seasons with students and with my kids that I work with. Usually I'll get them for maybe 2 or 3 weeks at a time during a camp. And
Hmm.
then, if I see them again, that's awesome. But more often than not, I don't see those students again. But with wrestling, I'm with them every single day, before school, during school, after school, on the
Hmm.
weekends. Spend quite a bit of time investing in those student athletes. So, I guess you asked me how I got into it.
Yeah.
So, well, there's a couple different things. So, surf instruction started when I was a kid. I never took lessons from anybody. I never took a camp. I never went and got a private surf lesson. I essentially taught myself how to, just from going to the beach every single day, every chance that I got, and going surfing and asking questions to people who were better than me, and then watching videos and films. And when I was in college, I was trying to figure out a way to quit my job at Lowe's department store. I was tired of driving that forklift around, picking up bricks and rocks. I was like, man, I
Hey,
gotta do something. I gotta
forklift
do something.
certified.
Forklift certified, yes, sir. So it's like, man, I'm not happy doing this. Let me find a way to do what I really want to do, which is hang it on the beach all day,
Hmm.
And I found a way to do that. I reached out to a local company. His name was Sean. He has a business called Sean's Private Surf Instruction, and he brought me on, taught me all the basics. I had no idea how to teach a surf lesson. First 2 or 3 days I was out there, I was just sending kids into crazy giant waves without realizing, that was not the right wave to pick. And through trial and error and just figuring it out, man, I got really good at it. And then that next year, I took a position as a lead instructor.
Hmm.
So then not only was I responsible for teaching lessons, I was responsible for teaching others how to teach the lessons.
Okay.
So I did that for maybe, 3, 4 years. And now I'm at this point where I'm just kind of hanging back from teaching surf lessons because, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. Doesn't always pay the best. Hours are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just took a step back from that. But coaching wrestling, I started coaching wrestling when I first started teaching here. I was leaving work one day,
Hmm.
and one of the wrestling coaches, who was then the assistant wrestling coach, who's now the head coach, was waiting for his kids to get picked up after practice one day. And I simply struck up a conversation with him.
Hmm.
I guess a little backstory. I also wrestled in high school. I wrestled for 3 years and was never that great at it. Not until like the end of my senior year. I didn't understand how much went into the sport until right at the very end,
Hmm.
and how involved people's families are in the sport and how deep it really goes. Like at that time in North Carolina, wrestling was still, I would say it's been around for a while, but it was still a blossoming flower, so to speak. It
Hmm.
didn't really have a whole lot of support in the community, and people didn't really know about it. Then I'd go wrestle against kids who had started at 5, 6 years old, who
Hmm.
were just phenomenal. So I really wanted to give back to my community. Like I'm from Burgaw, North Carolina, which is just 35 minutes away from where I teach now. And the
Yep.
demographic of students here is really similar to where I was when I was in school. So I kind of wanted to give back and help those kids who, some of them definitely have like strong backgrounds in wrestling, but there's also a lot of students who did not have strong backgrounds in wrestling and
Hmm.
didn't start until they were maybe 14, 15, 16 years old. So that's sort of where I came in. If you had never life, I could confidently teach you the basics and fundamentals and get you wrestling within 2 to 3 practices. So that's how I started. Just a simple conversation with Coach Kreiner, and he invited me to come out to open mats and practices. And then I went out there and realized pretty quickly, I was like, oh, I'm actually, pretty good, coaching wise. Maybe I was never like the most amazing, state competitive athlete in the world, but I knew
Yeah.
enough to help someone learn how to wrestle and learn like the basic fundamentals to then, progress from there. So, yeah, man, in a nutshell, dude, it all started with a conversation. Just
Hmm.
kind of, it kind of found me in some ways, but it also started with me reaching out and just showing interest. So,
Hmm.
like surfing, I showed interest. I reached out. I went and found a phone number, called the dude.
Hmm.
Next thing I know, I'm working for him. And then with, wrestling, I just talked to Coach Kreiner about my experiences with wrestling, and he was like, "Yeah, man, come on. We need all the help we can get." So that's really how it started. And here I am, 3 years later. I'm a head coach now.
Wow, that's awesome. You said
Yeah.
you started as assistant coach, right?
Yeah. Really just a volunteer, man. I didn't even get paid first two
Uh-huh.
years.
So obviously you have a passion for coaching and teaching. When you first came into where you're teaching now, you had no idea you were going to get into the wrestling thing. It was kind of just happened by
No, dude.
chance.
No idea. All
No?
by chance. All by
Yeah.
chance, dude. Yeah, just circumstantial, man. Right place, right time, dude.
Hmm. Well, that's awesome. Are you in season right now?
No, we're not in season. Wrestling season goes from beginning it's like October is really when we kind of fire it up. Then it goes pretty much all the way until March. But we do tons of off-season training, open mats. I have open mat today after this, so I'll go over there and I'll do some basic instruction. And it's a little more free flow. It's not as serious, not as intense.
Hmm.
And we'll go over, shots and top, bottom, neutral. And then we play some games, do some wrestling oriented games, and
Hmm.
then kind of call it after an hour. But over the summer, what we're doing this season is we're doing off season workouts, but we're kind of doing a hands-off approach. This is an experiment. We're going to see how this works.
Okay.
So every athlete that we have that's coming back next season is essentially going to get a prescribed workout plan.
Hmm.
And we're not going to be there to ensure that they do these workout plans,
Hmm.
but we're going to have them check in with us every week and they have to write down what it is that they did, how many reps, how many sets, no, have any notes they took along the way, and then we'll keep up with it over the summer. So ideally, if they start working out now, by the beginning of the season in October, they'll have grown in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
And then, we start open mats, twice a week as soon as school starts. And then once, October, November hits, it's game on, man.
Uh-huh. So in your school, in your community, is your school known for wrestling, or are there other schools that are kind of big dogs around you, or what do you think?
Dude, we're in a crazy tough conference, man. There's
Uh-huh.
lots of good schools around here. So I teach in Brunswick County. There's North Brunswick, South Brunswick, West Brunswick. Those are the three big schools that we have around here. South Brunswick is kind of the bottom of the chain, and
Hmm.
then it's really between us and West Brunswick for the conference. The best conference that we have right here. But now it's all changing too, man. Like the school is growing super fast. We also are in the same conference with Laney High School and Hoggard High School, which I don't know if you are familiar with those school systems, but Hoggard is number one football for 4A, I think, in like the whole state. Their wrestling team is phenomenal. It's a huge conference, man,
Hmm.
outside of just Brunswick County. So our tournaments are cutthroat, dude. Like we go against some really difficult opponents.
Yeah.
And North Brunswick, I would say, if I remember, I'm still learning about all this stuff, so I don't really know like the rankings and stuff. But I mean, we were top five
Hmm.
in our entire conference, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at least as a team. We did have some really good
That's good.
individual
Yeah.
wrestlers. We had a kid go place fourth at states this year.
Wow.
We had out of four kids that qualified for states, and we had like 16 kids. Pretty much our whole wrestling team qualified for regionals,
Damn.
which is based off of their win-loss percentage, based off of
Uh-huh.
how many matches they wrestle. So yeah, our program's pretty solid, man. I would say it's definitely growing.
Would you say you're more of a laid back coach or you get pretty fired up in those matches?
Both.
Both?
Both, yeah. I'm definitely a gentle giant at times. I'm pretty laid back dude.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it comes down to it, man, like I really don't take no for an answer at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely be pretty stubborn, especially when I know a kid is not giving 110% of their maximum capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're cutting up and messing around when we're trying to have a serious workout, dude, I nip that in the bud immediately. So it's time and place, man. It really is, dude. Like I could be easygoing, laid back coach as long as you guys are being respectful and doing what you're supposed to. But I deal with 15-year-olds. Like they're not gonna be that way right off the bat. It might take a couple years to get them on the right path. So I definitely have to be a bit of a disciplinarian at times.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody on the coaching staff has got like their role. Like me and Coach Donnie are pretty laid back. Coach Reeves, he definitely is not nice at all. Coach Kreiner, he's definitely the top dog. Like he lays down the law of the land,
Uh-huh.
and definitely is a bit more, of a hard ass, so to speak. So yeah, man, it's just really, as needed, man. It just depends who the wrestler is. We also kind of separated the kids into different weight classes. Like I was responsible for 165, the weight class and up.
Mm-hmm.
So those are sort of like it's my bread and butter. So like those are my kids. Like if I have an issue with them, like I'll deal with them directly. Unless it's disrespect across the board, then everybody gets involved. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Since you started, have any of your coaching styles changed or grown in any way?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I would say so. At the beginning of this season, it was just me in the wrestling room coaching,
Uh-huh.
pretty much by myself, because our head coach isn't a teacher here. He has another job. So he doesn't get off of work until, 4 o'clock, 4:30
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. So I would be responsible for the entire wrestling team's like beginning of practice workouts, stretches, going to the weight room, orchestrating group workouts and stations and getting them prepared for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time that was over, I had it planned to where Coach Kreiner would show up and he would be able to do a little bit more instruction for his particular move set. So also my move set and style is very different than Coach Kreiner's. The school that he wrestled for was a nationally recognized school for wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
Christiansburg High School in Virginia. Like his coaches are now D1 college coaches.
Oh, wow.
So they were the real deal. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know 80% of the moves that he wanted to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent, a couple years like really trying to lock in and even learn these moves for myself because I didn't know what he was doing. So how am I supposed to teach it if I don't know it? So I've kind of spent, this past 2 years like getting those move sets down for myself so that way I can teach them. So to answer your question, hell yeah, dude. I learned a lot. I changed tremendously, man. Like, being patient, being organized, getting practices ready,
Uh-huh.
um, being tough on the kids when I need to, but also being caring and compassionate when those times were also needed.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I'm still working on, still growing on to improve. There's definitely like moments in wrestling because it is a combat sport where you have to earn your wrestlers' respect.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go in there and expect to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to earn it. And that comes from a couple different places, man. It comes from coaching, instruction, being knowledgeable, but also, being tough and compassionate at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it definitely is something that is really tough to do, man. But yeah, dude, like I would say at the beginning, I was very laid back, very quiet, didn't really chip in, mostly listened. I listened a ton
Mm-hmm.
and observed a lot. That second year, I, started to kind of come out of my shell a little bit more. And then by necessity, third year, because it was just me, I had no other choice, man. And I had to step up to the plate
Mm-hmm.
and lead these kids in the right direction. And I think it worked, man. It definitely was hard at times. It was frustrating. It was stressful. Had
Hmm.
times where I came unglued, but you know, all the kids benefited from it. I benefited from it. And yeah, it's trial and error, man. 100%.
Sick. When you are in wrestling season, do you find that you get overwhelmed with, teaching and also coaching at the same time? And how do you deal with that?
Hell yeah. That was a lot to deal with. So like my classes that I have require X amount of time.
Hmm.
And it takes a lot of time to plan and prepare. So I teach science, specifically earth science and marine biology.
Hmm.
None of them are state tested, thankfully, so I have a little bit more wiggle room in how I choose to plan those classes. But at the same time, it is very intensive. And then immediately after work, I go straight to wrestling practice, get that going. And I have to spend a good amount of time planning for practice too, coordinating with other coaches, like what move sets are we going to teach? What kind of drills are we going to do? What type of weightlifting are we going to do?
Hmm.
Are we focused on calisthenics today? Are we doing more traditional compound lifting? So it took a tremendous amount of time, dude. And by the end of the season, I was 110% burned out.
Hmm.
And I have another job outside of, teaching and coaching. Like I play music on the weekends, like as
Hmm.
you know, like I play gigs.
Yeah.
So there'd be some days where I'd wake up, especially on tournament days, like a Saturday, I'd wake up at like 4:30. I'd have to get to the school by 5:30, make
Whew.
sure everybody's good to go, get all their stuff, get all their equipment, get all our food, get all our snacks, get all our
Mhm.
singlets ready, drive to wherever that we're going, stay there until, well, they would stay there until, 8, 9 o'clock some days. But if I had a gig, my coach was like really cool about it. He'd be like, yeah, sure, go ahead, go handle your business. Then
Mhm.
I'd have to leave there and go play a gig starting at 9 o'clock at night and be done at midnight, and then have to drive home after that. So yeah,
Like a
dude.
20-hour day.
Yeah, I burned the candle at both ends, man.
Uh-huh.
Plenty of times this season. So yeah, it's definitely important, dude, to not take on too much at one time, or at
Hmm.
least know your limits. Like I was pretty good with it, but yeah, this next season is going to be a whole nother ball game because I'm a head coach now. Like I
Hmm.
have to be there the whole time, start to finish. I'll have to do, I have to plan tournaments. I'll have to do fundraising. I'll have to get bus driver certified, which I am not looking forward to. I'm gonna have
No,
to
you'll be all right. You'll be all right. It's not
the
that
school
bad.
drive the school bus. Do you drive school buses?
I did. Worked for a moving company, so I did drive big
Like
26
box trucks.
footers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've done that before. You're right. It's not too bad, but yeah, man, it's
School bus
it's
is
it's
different. You got
intensive,
30 kids on your back, so.
dude. And they're all crazy as hell, dude. We had 3 bus drivers quit because of us.
Oh
The
boy. Did you
wrestling
have
bus
to?
trips are wild, dude.
Oh my God. You have to discipline the guys for that?
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. I made a kid write me an apology letter on my phone, and I kept it to this day. And I read it out loud to him sometimes when he's practicing, and he pisses me off. So yeah, it's classic.
Do you have any stories that come to mind when you think of matches or competitions when parents or refs or other opponents were getting out of hand and you had to deal with it in some way?
Dude, so many. A part of being an athlete is like there's a code of conduct,
Hmm.
like good sportsmanship, right? Parents forget all of that. They forget every single bit of that when their kid is wrestling on the
Hmm.
mat.
Hmm.
Especially some of the moms. Some of the moms are vicious, dude.
Oh
Like they'll
my God.
come and pretty much jump on the mat and screaming and yelling, cussing out the refs. So those are like general stories. But thinking about, an issue with a ref, dude, we had so many issues with refs this season. It's so hard to find a good ref. For whatever reason, our head coach, refs do not like him. I have no idea why. He's the nicest, genuine, down to earth guy in the world.
Hmm.
And high school wrestling, and I think it's the same for other sports too. If you think the ref made a bad call, you
Hmm.
really can't contest it.
Yeah.
It's really their word against yours.
Yeah.
Unlike in college, you can contest it and review footage and slow it down and say, okay, sorry, coach, I was wrong. There
Hmm.
was this one time at the Ashley tournament, our heavyweight, his name was Tank.
Okay.
Tank is a literal tank, dude. Freaking 300 pounds, big, strong guy. And he was so heavy that he couldn't wrestle because he could never make weight.
Hmm.
It wasn't until the end of his senior season this year that he finally cut the weight back. He'd
Uh-huh.
been working so hard in the wrestling room to cut all this weight down and get ready for this tournament because this was it for him. No more tournaments after this.
Yeah.
So finally gets weight, dude. We're so excited for him. And Tank walks down and he's eyeing all his competition and looking around. We're sitting watching him wrestle, and Tank's like, "Yeah, I got it." And Tank's my boy. Like he was one of the first people that I really worked with exclusively to get him right for wrestling.
Uh-huh.
And he 100% like grew as a result of that. So that's like really cool for me. Anyways, match time comes.
Hmm.
Walks out onto the mat. Ref blows the whistle. They start going at it. Tank ends up grabbing the guy, got an overhook and an underhook, and lat drops the guy. So
Uh-huh.
imagine 250 pound, essentially men at this point. One guy picks him up, bam, throws him on the ground, lands on top, goes for the pin. The guys can't move. And in that moment, Tank did this. Like threw one arm up, started smiling. He pointed straight at me and Coach Kreiner. Ref blows the whistle, disqualifies him.
No.
And not only that, kicks him out of the whole tournament.
What?
Kicked him out of the entire tournament. Wasn't allowed to wrestle anymore, all because he was celebrating the thing he had been working so hard for his entire season to wrestle. And
Yeah.
in that moment, they took it from him.
Uh-huh.
This ref was a young guy, 22, 23 years old, Marine, definitely a dummy, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I don't know, dude. He just had like poor sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
Like no, like did not have good judgment. Tank lost his cool, started freaking out, cussed the guy out. We dealt with that afterwards. Tank didn't need to do that. But honestly, dude, it's kind of hard for me to blame him at the same time because that was such a
Yeah.
ridiculous thing. Coach Kreiner, me, the other coaches, we were furious.
Uh-huh.
Stormed onto the mat, started, no, we didn't yell at the guy, but we were like, dude, are you serious? Like, you have no idea what this kid went through to be
Yeah.
able to come wrestle here today. And you're
Uh-huh.
just going to take that away from him? He gets no more season. This
Mm.
is it. And the guy was just not cool.
Wow.
So that was probably one of the more frustrating stories that we had to deal with. Tank
Hmm.
ended up being all right. They didn't let him wrestle. But I mean, dude, he went out like a champ, dude. He definitely
I mean, that
deserved
must have
that.
been emotional for him and all of you guys.
Dude, it was like the best feeling in the world and then suddenly the worst feeling in the world
Mm.
all at one time. And that same ref dude ended up getting cussed out by another parent later on in that tournament
Wow.
for similar reasons and poor calls and yeah. So, yeah, there's I got plenty of them, man.
Hmm. So kind of touching on that, how would you motivate your wrestlers when something like that happens, when your team faces a setback or like Tank loses motivation, in a situation like that? What do you as a coach try to focus on?
It's a great question. Every circumstance is different.
Hmm.
So to put it generally, the best thing that you can do is to just gather everyone, talk about what happened,
Hmm.
acknowledge it briefly, and then try to teach your student athletes to let it go and
Hmm.
focus on the task at hand and to keep pushing and to not let defeat deter you from success.
Hmm.
And that's a really tough thing to wrap your mind around, especially as a young adult. And they see it come from us. So, like, I guess to answer your question, like, you as a coach have to be a beacon of strength and hope for the rest of your team. And
Hmm.
it starts there and then it trickles down. And then it goes to your captains and then also giving your captains roles and
Hmm.
giving them responsibility. Like me as a coach, and other coaches are nothing without them because we are here for support and guidance and to sort of model expectations, but it really falls on the captains to kind of run the team.
Hmm.
So, having them, go to the wrestlers that lost and offer them words of encouragement, constructive criticism, that's going to sound way better to come from a peer than it is from us sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes sense?
Hmm.
Yeah.
How do you think wrestling has changed in the last few years since you started coaching? I know it's only been a little while, but I think the atmosphere has changed.
Sure, man. It's getting more competitive.
Uh-huh.
More people are moving here from places where wrestling is the best sport and the strongest sport, particularly Iowa, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
New Jersey, New York.
Yeah, I'm from the
Even
Northeast and wrestling is huge up there. Same as lacrosse is by far the biggest up there in the Northeast for me. And I
yeah,
think
dude.
lacrosse is growing down here, right?
Yeah, those two sports are growing tremendously, man. When
Hmm.
I started teaching here at North Brunswick in 2022, we had like 1,200 kids.
Hmm.
Next year, we're gonna have 1,700,
Wow.
growing crazy fast.
Yeah.
And I've already seen a difference in open mat from this year and then 2 years ago. We had maybe like five, six kids come out for open mat. Now we've got 15 in the off season.
So
Just
is
tremendous.
open mat, is that just free come on or is that the tryout or I'm not familiar?
Man, it's a little bit of both. Excuse me. It's
Hmm.
like sort of like, tryouts in a way. So like coaches, we can come and see like if there's any new people, like who's going to show promise. It's also a time for experienced wrestlers to get some extra work in, and get a good sweat and work on some things in a very relaxed environment. We do, it's a lot shorter, not as intensive, not as hard. And it kind of gives people who have never wrestled before an opportunity to come try it out
Hmm.
and see if it's for them without feeling any need to commit.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, I always wanted to. I don't know why I never got into wrestling when I was in high school. I wish I did, looking back. Because
Singlets, bro. It's 110% the singlets. People
it
look at the
was the
singlets
single.
thing.
Who am I lying to?
People are like, nah, I'm good. Yeah.
Um, so at school, have you gotten approached? It says I'm running out of time for my meeting, but I'm recording it on my phone, so we got 10 minutes left, it says. So, have you been approached to coach any other positions at the school, like any other sports?
Man, they asked me about coaching track, but that guy is not cool, so I didn't want to do that. Um, yeah, that's about it, man. Wrestling, dude. I really have no interest to coach anything else. I do have a surf club that I'm working on building. So next year is when I want to take that to the next level and start doing competitions and building a surf team. That'll be on my own time, on my own dollar. So it's kind of why I haven't really invested a whole lot of time into it yet.
Hmm.
But that is my eventual goal is to do that.
Do you think that the parents in your community play a big role in the wrestling field?
Dude, absolutely, man. Some of the parents that we deal with are absolute nightmares, dude. Straight up Karens, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know where they come from. Some of the dads too, dude. Like, especially if like they are responsible for like their kid being involved in wrestling at an early age, which
Uh-huh.
meant that they were kind of like their coach for the longest time. And then they'll come to the tournaments and sit pretty much on the mat adjacent to the coaches and will essentially disrespect some of the calls that we make as coaches
Mm-hmm.
for that student, which is such a tricky thing to do because that sure it's your parent, it's your dad or whatever, but at the same time, like let us do our job and coach because
Yeah.
odds are we probably do know better than you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, parents make a tremendous difference, man. It's the difference between whether or not a student can wrestle. Like if a parent doesn't have a good job
Mm-hmm.
and it falls onto the student to, go work and make money, they can't wrestle. They
Yeah.
got to juggle, going to work and feeding their family versus coming to practice for free,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, dude, like that's probably like the most important like caveat to like a wrestler's success, dude. Like a parent might, invest in their kid and, pay for them to go to camps and to go do off-season workouts and do all these other things. Seldom is that the kid themselves that are going to go do that on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't have financial stability.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, man, it's a bit of both, dude. It's like, we have parents that are really involved, and then we have zero parent involvement, and then we kind of got those in between. And then we've got great parents too. Don't let me, speak negatively about all parents. Some of them are like great parents and involved in the booster club and,
Mm-hmm.
fundraising and volunteering their time and efforts to, ensure the success of the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, there's those other parents, dude, freaking Shoshes.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta learn to deal with them.
Dude, have you found that sometimes it goes past just being a coach and sometimes because I feel like your athletes could sometimes look to you more as I'm not like a therapist, but it's someone else to reach out to than that's not a friend or not a parent, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's 100% why coaching's so great and why I love it so much, dude. Like I get to build amazing relationships with students and get to really set the bar high for them in terms of like or not even set the bar high, but just let them know that it's there, they can get there and they can do whatever they want in life as long as they have persistence, patience, and perseverance.
Hmm.
And wrestling is the best sport for that. 110%. Like if they can cut weight and still make a tournament and still practice and do their schoolwork and maybe even work a job on the weekends,
Hmm.
dude, they can do anything.
Hmm.
Like wrestling is like straight up boot camp for some kids. Like it's tough.
Yeah.
Like we do grind matches sometimes where the second they walk into the wrestling room, the
Hmm.
second they put their shoes on and we blow the whistle, that's it, dude. They wrestle the whole time, 3 hours straight, no water breaks. And they go. And they do it. And they succeed. And they push through, man, push through mental barriers, physical barriers. And as a
Yeah.
coach, being able to facilitate that, like it's awesome. And they might hate you in the moment. They might cuss you out, say all terrible things about you, and you're a terrible coach, this, that, and the other. Then they, calm down. They
Mm.
reflect and look back, and they're like, man, I'm thankful for Coach Blanton. Like he really helped me get through some hard times or overcome a serious loss. Or I can't tell you how many kids have like been bleeding, crying, snot running down their nose. They come up, run up to me, just grab me, give a big old hug, and I got to console them, man, and let them know it's going to be okay. Like it's just a sport, but it is your life right now. But
Mhm.
these are the tool sets that are going to help you be successful later on. So yeah, dude, 110%, Sam.
Yeah, that's definitely really rewarding. It sounds like, having kids look up to you all the time. So sounds pretty sick. Um, so you said for the next season you're starting for the summer you have the workout plan thing you're doing. But
Yep.
other than that, do you have anything that you're looking to get out of next season or something like that?
Yeah, dude. But we got a great team. We have a lot of promising young wrestlers. We had quite a few really good wrestlers graduate this year, so
Mm.
we definitely took a hit there. But yeah, the goal is to get more kids to states. Like we only had four go this year. I'd like to make it six. I think we can get there. I'd like to try to do better in our conference. Definitely get more matches for the kids, more opportunities, more volunteer activities, more bonding experiences for
Hmm.
them. Because they're thick as thieves, man, and we got to help facilitate that. So camping trips, activities outside of school where they all go get dinner, lunch, whatever, stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah, definitely more victories,
Hmm.
less losses. It's always a plus. It's always something we're
Yeah.
trying to do. That never gonna change.
Hmm.
Yeah, man, it's a lot that we want to do.
Do you find that it's like a lot on your mental during peak season when you're teaching, you're coaching, you're also trying to get gigs, So like how do you kind of relax and make time for yourself?
It's you really don't, dude.
Hmm.
Like you kind of got to set the standard for the kids. Like they're doing all of these different activities, all of these different things. And I can't. It wouldn't be fair as a coach to subject myself to a life of luxury while they're going through it. You know what I mean? So. I really don't, man. I think I'm thankful that I got a pretty strong, it's like sense of wellness in myself, and I kind of know when I need to take a break, and I find small times to do that, like
Mm-hmm.
really small time. Even if it's 5, 10 minutes, dude, just go sit outside, meditate 5, 10 minutes, catch my breath, drink some water.
Mm-hmm.
On Sundays, catch up on my rest, go to the gym when I can. Stretch, yoga, all that stuff. It's hard on the body too, because like when I coach, like I wrestle with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of these kids are in way better shape than me. So
Trying to
yeah,
keep up with
they're
kids in the
trying to
prime of
keep
their
up.
youth.
Straight up, dude. So yeah, man. Like I kind of do, but not as much as probably people think I should.
Hmm. Are there some things that you wish you would have known before you got into the wrestling that you think could have helped propel you to a better start?
Yeah, dude, I wish I was like a 3-time state champion NCAA athlete, dude. Like I wish that I had that, dude, but I simply don't, man. So
Mhm.
probably, like a bit more experience would have been great, but I can't change the past. I kind of
Mhm.
got to roll with the cards that I was dealt with. So,
Mhm.
that honestly would be tremendous, dude, just to have those credentials, but I don't. So I kind of have to build them as I go and just do my best, man. But I probably would have liked to have known. Actually, I mean, I'd get it. I was a wrestler in high school, man. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into.
Mhm. Do you think that walking around school now that you're also the wrestling coach, you get a little bit more recognition too? Like you see some
Some
kids
in
that
some in some ways, man. Yeah,
yeah.
Coach B. You know, kids I don't even know come and dap me up. Pretty fun sometimes. Ain't like that all the time. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, not as many kids test my gangster anymore.
Yeah, did you have to kind of, when you first got into that head coach position, did you already have that sense of respect from all the kids, or did you kind of have to, no, you had to build that up?
Not at all, dude. I was happy-go-lucky Blanton. Easy
Yeah, you were
going.
the fun guy. Yeah,
Yeah, sea turtle, dude.
yeah.
So yeah, they mistook my kindness for weakness at times.
Hmm.
And I had to let them know, dude, I wasn't there to play around. So took some time, but yeah, man, I had to earn it.
Hmm. In a nutshell, what do you think the most rewarding part about your job is?
Well,